can you guys hear me?
We got you, Devin. Yep.
Jamie, I think I'm getting the thumbs up.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Sorry for that issue there. All right. Welcome, everyone. We have a lot of people here today, so this is great. Welcome to our Product Release 3.0 webcast. So let me just do a quick introduction here for the people that maybe have never been to one of our webcasts. I'm Devin Twyman. I'm the CPO here at SpringboardVR. We also have a few other people here on the call. You will hear Jamie Spittle talking, and he's actually going to be driving the webcast, showcasing our product. And then you also have Matthew Hall, which is our CTO. And so the three of us are going to be kind of walking you through our product and going through this. We also have several other team members listening in, taking notes, and also helping with Q&A. So what I would like to do is just kind of go over our agenda. So Jamie, if you could go ahead and go to our agenda. What we would like to do here is really focus on 3.0. We are very excited that we're finally here. Thanks for your patience. But we are going to do a 3.0 walkthrough of the product. And most importantly, we are going to really walk through, specific to our current customers, what they are going to expect on Monday, April 30th. And then we're going to go over some of the items that you guys should prepare before our release. We've talked about this previously, so there shouldn't be anything new. And then we are going to walk you through kind of our new feature request protocol. I think everyone will enjoy what we're going to move forward to. And then at the very end, we are going to answer any questions that you might have about 3.0. Just a friendly reminder, there is a Q&A section right up top there, right next to chat. So that is where you're going to want to enter any and every question. So we make sure that we are able to answer all of those. So let's kick this off. So for the people that are new or maybe haven't been on some of our webcasts in previous times, let me give a little bit of history. The month of April is our 1-year anniversary. I cannot believe it's already been a year. It's been a fun ride. And so what I wanted to do is just kind of give you some history. So we launched in April 2017. We had about 40 people trying our platform. And now we are actually supporting over 300 locations, a little over 1,300 headsets. So obviously we've learned a lot in the past year. And the other thing that we did launch was commercial licensing. So ideally we have 2 customers that we're supporting right now, the location operators and also our content creators. And so just a little bit of information around that is we do have 150 titles today that we do provide on a per minute licensing basis. The average per minute is sitting around that 7 cents right now. So that's just a little bit of history about how we started or when we started and what we've released. So again, going back to 3.0, what we're focused today, and you can see on the screen, is what does 3.0 actually mean to everyone? It means we've taken the last year, learned a lot, and actually built our product from the ground up to release 3.0. And so what that means is content launcher is brand new, station management system is brand new, and our booking system is brand new on 3.0. Okay, so this is a significant release. I know a lot of discussion is around commercial licensing. We are not going to be discussing commercial licensing on this call, but good news is we are very excited about some big changes coming, and our next open huddle coming up, we are going to be discussing what those changes are. So That is enough about that. Let's move on into 3.0. So again, like we said, some big changes in 3.0. So you can see here, this is just a quick visual for everyone. But what we're trying to communicate here is we've changed our platform architecture, specifically around locations and adding a layer of experience in there. So we know that a lot of you guys have been expanding and adding more locations. So we have improved that. We've also added the layer of experience, just allowing you to have more flexibility and customization around what stations should be within that experience. So you can add different price points, different discounts, even different ads. And so that's really where this experience layer that we are going to showcase really comes into play to really give you more flexibility with your various different business models. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this over to Jamie for him to actually showcase the locations. So kind of going back from that diagram, we're going to briefly touch exactly what this looks like in our platform in 3.0. So Jamie, if you'll go into that location page there. Perfect. So on Jamie's screen right now, you can see that we now have this new kind of interface looking at the locations here. So you can see for this example, we have 2 locations, and you can see the number of stations associated to those stations. So Jamie, if you'll go into actually going into one of those locations and seeing the experience. So right now, so I've gone into the Broadway location, and now this location actually has 2 experiences. And so around that, Jamie, if you'll go into one.
Sure, let me just go into the Vive one. There you are.
And so this is where, again, going and providing you more flexibility. This is where you can name that specific experience, add a description, and also add the equipment associated to that. You can see that we have other. So other could be an escape room or anything like that that you might want to also include that into our reservation system. And so again, what we're going to show you in just a second, we also give you the image. So if you are using us for your booking, we are allowing you to select a default image that we have here, or you can actually upload your own. And this is specifically around giving a great visual for your customers when they're actually booking a VR experience. And then down below is really where our ads. If you've been a part of any of our webcasts, we've talked about this, but going back to those experiences, you might want to have various different ads based on those experiences that you actually create. So if you have an arcade that has 10 headsets and you want 5 of your headsets to be segmented based on a different experience, you can do that, and we give you that flexibility, even including around the pricing, available hours, and also coupons. So the next thing here, Jamie, if you'll go ahead and show them what the client reservation actually looks like. So what I'm showing you here is if you have your website and you have our widget that you can actually click on Book Now, this is the correlation of what we just showed you of what you can add and make any adjustments. And then this is what your clients are going to be able to see. So again, being able to see that visual, descriptions, how many players can actually share a particular station or headset, and then anything else, just like booking a movie ticket, they pick the date and time, and then we also give them some information there. All right. Now let's go into the monitor station, specific to just the experiences, right? Just showing you that you can see the experience on the far right there, the Vive freedom, I believe, if I can
Free
read
roam.
that correctly. And then that you can see down below. So just showing you a holistic approach of how the experiences actually have evolved and how we've implemented that. And so this is just a quick snapshot. We took you through how you go to the panel, how you can look at the locations, the experience level, and then also what your clients are going to see. And then this is the monitor station where you can actually have your stations sorted based on your experience. All right. So now what we're going to do, that was primarily just to walk you through the new architecture. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the monitor station to actually show you some key features. Monitor station here. So for people that have actually seen our product before, we learned a lot that we needed a hybrid look. And so you can see on the very far left, you can see all of the stations, right? Including the age limits. So right now we don't have any age limits associated to any stations. And then you can see on the far right, you can see your reservations that are appearing there. Also being able to do a walk-in, okay? And so what we're gonna do is, Jamie, I'm gonna let you kind of show us how to do a walk-in, or what we call a quick start.
Sure.
So Jamie, if you'll actually walk us through that.
Yeah. So as Devin mentioned, we talked to a lot of people about how they primarily use the monitor. And the number one thing is that we have people walk in and we just want to get time started. So we made that as simple as possible. If you have a station that currently has open time, it doesn't have a reservation playing, you just click walk in, select the amount of time, hit start now, and then time goes in and it just begins. It's that simple. We've also added the ability to click onto a time slot just on the calendar itself. So maybe 1 p.m. here, I choose my time and I hit OK. That's as simple as it is. If you want more control on either of those little button here that says walk in, or if you click on the calendar, you can hit more options, which will bring you to a full configurable reservation page. This allows you to add multiple stations. So for example, maybe I want one station to be free roam, one to be tethered, and I can make the tethered one 45 minutes and the free roam, maybe it'll be 15 minutes. It's as easy as that. I can just click through here. If you have coupons and discounts, you can apply them to individual stations. So for example, the Vive tethered has 2 coupons and I can apply the $5 off on this one, or maybe I want the 10% off on this one. It's very, very simple to just give the exact experience you want. You can add an optional host contact information. I want to be clear that it is optional now. We had that as a requirement before, and now it is optional. And you can choose everything from number of players. You can get rid of stations. You can edit stations. You can mark things as paid. It's very, very powerful. And you hit create, and you can see here, it made the 15-minute one here, and then made the 45-minute one here. Very, very simple to get time into this launcher. Into the monitor. Things like deleting is also very simple. I can come in here, just hit the cancel the booking, gone. It's as simple as that. Yeah, is there anything else you'd like me to touch on before we move on, Devin?
Yeah, I think one other thing that we had noted here, that tax is also included. Right. That is something else that we've added to 3.0 as well. Sure. So you can actually see that. And again, this is on the admin side when people are actually coming in and doing a walk-in. So if you've put that into the panel and said that there's tax, your employees can actually see that there as well.
Yeah, so there's a few interesting things here that you can see in this amount unpaid section. First of all, we have support for multiple currencies. So this is a Canadian dollar because I'm in Canada. And it's a 5% exclusive tax. So that means on top of the $10 you charge, you're charging 50 cents in tax. We have support for inclusive tax. We have support for exclusive tax, kind of a bit of a tongue twister. And we support, I believe somebody says the Brazilian dollar. Yeah, we support, I think, almost every single currency, but I have to double check with Matt. He's the one who did all the currencies there. But you can look in that in the panel. Also, there is something important I should mention here. You can add totally custom times. So it doesn't need to be just the things you predefined on the experience. You can actually do 100% custom lengths. So let's say you want somebody who's like, I only have 77 minutes and I only want to pay $30. The tax will apply correctly all there. And then you can do that type of reservation. So here's a 77-minute long reservation. It's that simple. So Matt, just as a note, Matt did just say he's had 118 currencies added, and he can add more if we need. So that's a nice little thing. Thank you, Matt. And then I do also want to mention really quickly about how you actually start time, and then how you will provide support if something goes wrong. So here I go. I'll make the 77-minute reservation. So let's say they made it in the future. They've arrived. You check them in. Then you go ahead and you can start their timer. So you can see now it's counting down. I put in, if you did notice, I put in 77 minutes. It automatically did the math for us, made it an hour and 17 minutes. Pretty cool. But then what you can do is you come in here, maybe the headset breaks or whatever, for whatever reason, you can just straight up pause the timer. That's all it is. You just click on it, you hit pause, now you can offer it, and then you can just resume when it's back, in business. And then canny viewers will notice that when you hit pause, these become editable fields. Let's say you want to comp them 5 minutes, just add 5 onto this little minute selector, hit resume, and it adds 5 minutes to the reservation. It's that simple. There's also
one thing that I will note, just so everyone knows, that is not doing anything in the launcher. I mean, it is letting them know that there's a pause, right? But it is not making them pause the game or anything like that. It's simply just a function for you to quickly add additional time.
Yeah, absolutely. So it just it does notify them, but it doesn't interrupt their experience at all. I should also mention that while things are playing, it is extremely easy to move stations. We wanted to make sure that we were giving you guys as much ability to offer top tier support with as little trouble as possible for both you and the customer. So if somebody does break, you need to really quickly move a reservation to a new station. It's as easy as just hitting edit, and then you can move it over. It's very, very simple.
All right. The next thing that I think we should cover, just a few things, because I know a lot of people had requested this, and I just want you guys to know that we do listen. The one thing that you can see underneath that timer is actually the time in which it's going to end. So you know exactly the time frame. And you can see at the very bottom that we are giving you an indication of the 5 minutes. And also if someone is calling for help, you will see that indication as well there.
That's right.
I believe the one thing that I think you should show them, Jamie, is how you can add a station. So specific to someone coming in as a group,
sure.
Being able to add multiple stations. So you can see that Jamie has that right here, where everyone within that group right there all started at the exact same time.
Sure.
So we do give you the ability to actually get a group in and get them to start all at the same time.
Sure. So let's say somebody calls in, they want to come in at 12 and they want 2 stations. Just click on the 12 o'clock. So to get the multiple stations, you want to go into more options. And then I actually already showed this a little bit earlier, but you can just go ahead, hit add group. And let's say I want them to be next to each other. So this is tethered 1 is the first one, tethered 2. It's that simple. Maybe there will be in 45 minutes each, save, and then there you go. It made it for both.
Perfect. And I think, Jamie, you've already covered how someone can actually move to a different station.
That's right.
I think we have 2 other things we want to really showcase here.
Sure.
And it is admin only conflicts. So you can see at the very far left hand, you can see that there was a conflict there. We've heard that you guys want more flexibility. And so specific to if you need to get someone into a station right then and there, even though that you know it's going to be a conflict and you're going to change the conflict reservation later, we are allowing you to do that. So we did hear you loud and clear there. The other thing that I want to take some time on is station settings.
Yeah, sorry, before we jump into station settings, I just want to show a little bit about those conflicts because it can be a little bit confusing. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that Springboard will tell you if you're about to make a conflict. So let's just say I hit this 12 o'clock, but maybe they actually want to come in at maybe 11:30. It'll tell you that you're about to create a conflict here. It will make sure that you know you are creating a conflict. So if you see here at 11:30, I'm conflicting with this other walk-in that's already playing. It tells me, hey, you're about to do something that's going to create a conflict. Be aware. You can do it, but you're going to have to deal with this eventually. So just be aware that Springboard is giving you the information you need, but not forcing your hand, which is kind of a philosophy for our monitor, is that we wanted to say, you can do whatever you want, and it's going to be our responsibility to tell you if you're doing something that might cause you trouble down the road. But yeah, so that's kind of the philosophy behind the conflicts.
Perfect. Okay, let's go into station settings.
Sure.
So this is where you can set an age limit. You can set specific language. And this is also where you can remote launch a particular game.
That's right.
Okay, so say someone comes in here and says they want to play Arizona Sunshine.
Sure.
You can actually go in there and you can actually get them to go right into Arizona Sunshine right from once they put the headset on, and not have our content creation there, or content launcher there as well.
That's right.
The other thing that we also have is start game launcher. So say you have someone that is actually wanting that game launcher to come back, right? You can simply easily remotely from one device bring that game launcher and all the content in their view right from the monitor station. All right, so we've had the remote launch before. We have just recently added the start game launcher for you guys to have that flexibility as well. All right, next, anything, Jamie, do you want to add anything else on the monitor station? If not, we're going to go to the client reservation.
There is maybe one thing that I should mention. For the international arcades, we support 24-hour time. We support different languages. We support different locales for people making reservations. I want to make sure that everyone who are non-North American or non-English speaking arcades know that we've spent a lot of time making sure that things will be localized, and you'll have the settings that you want. Things like inclusive tax, exclusive tax. But if we missed anything, do let us know. But that is something that's really important. The other thing is that we are really excited about this monitor and really excited to get you guys into it. It's been really awesome using it. It's so fluid and it's really great. I'm really excited to hear what you guys say, hear what suggestions you guys have, and it's been a lot of fun sort of thinking about this and providing kind of what I think is a world-class experience for sort of any booking system. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Great. And we have had a few early access people help us test, and we've been getting great feedback. Okay, so let's go into the client reservation. Jamie, I know we've shown this previously, specific to understanding the experiences, but we're going to actually walk you through a little bit of the flow here.
Sure.
Like we mentioned, you have a share link. So if you wanted to use this on Facebook or anything like that, we do have that unique share link that you can use, but we also have a booking widget that you can provide on your website. And so this is what you are seeing right now is this. And so this is where your customers will make their reservation. And so Jamie, I'll let you kind of kick it off in regards to showing them the flow,
Sure.
How they would actually pick the various different experiences.
Sure.
And this is where we would really recommend having at least 2 experiences. You don't have to, but this is where we recommend so you can really provide some good visuals into what you are actually operating at your location.
Sure. Yeah. So this is kind of a culmination of a lot of feedback that we got from customers, and also us looking at mostly movie ticketing systems. We looked for a lot of examples of things that have complex sort of forms you need to fill out as a customer, and then you end up going to like a location-based entertainment. So this is pretty heavily inspired by, if you're an American, you'll know a service called Fandango. And so we wanted it to be super, super simple, but not sacrifice any power. So right off the top, you have the ability to select your stations. I should make a note here that just like you had before, you can select your branding colors, and that's what the accent color of these selections will be, which is kind of fun. This is the experience description, and the experience title is all there. They go ahead and select a date. So you can see here, because we were messing around with the stations in the monitor, you can actually see which ones are available or not available. Pretty great. So this one says 2, 4, 3. Let's say I want to go on at 1:15. Actually, let's go to Thursday. Let's go at noon on Thursday. Sure, why not? Then I can hit continue. Here, I can select the amount of stations I want. Now, this actually will dynamically change based on the settings you have set for how many people can share a station in the experience, all this stuff. So if I make myself up to 7 stations, you can see here, well, now I know that a discount will be applied. So if I go over 2 stations, okay, now I'm getting a discount. So I can make sort of an informed choice. Let's say you have multiple discounts, maybe one that's, if you're over 3 stations, be 25% off. It will always kind of go for the most amount of money off. And so you can see here, 3 stations, 2 stations, they'll be able to see that. And you'll see here, 15 minutes, 45 minutes. It's very clearly stated in which currency it's in. Here, Canadian dollars. Hit continue. You can enter in your email, first name, last name, birthday. You guys know all this stuff. It gives a pretty a good subtotal here. And then you can see here, like the birthday, phone number. You have to make sure you've agreed to the terms of service and privacy policy. They can pay in store, and that's basically that's the customer experience. It's very simple.
Yep. So we got it down to 3 steps.
That's right. That's right. You can go back to them and change them as you would expect from a booking system. So,
all right. Okay, I think you covered everything that I was going to mention. So this is great. Now let's go into the launcher. And so this is where we are going to kind of walk you through a few things. For anyone that has seen our current launcher is in that kind of 360 view, right? With the content where they have to kind of look all around to make sure that they select whatever content that they want. And so something that we learned is that we really needed the content to be in that 180 view, right front and center for them. And so I believe, Jamie, you have a few screenshots of our launcher.
That's right.
And so you can see what Jamie is showing right now is simply just a screenshot. Obviously, it looks different in VR. But this is where kind of that first view, right, is there front and center for them. So you can see most popular, recently added, and then kind of the first genre right there is the action. One thing to note here is this can be customized in the panel. So if you want shooter to actually be the very first genre that appears right there, you can actually adjust that yourself. And so really what Jamie's going to show here is basically that 180 view, and then you can see that there's advanced filters on the very far left, easy, medium, hard, and also we kind of pulled out players, single and multiplayer, because that is very common for you guys to have people that want to play multiplayer. So we basically pulled that into its own category and not have it kind of in the weeds of all the genres. And so that's a little bit around kind of our 180 view. If they do look right or left, they are going to see the time pillars. And so the time pillars here, is just telling them how much time is remaining. They can also call for help. They also can change the language if they so wish. And so as a location operator, you can change that language yourself through the monitor station like we had shown you, but then now we are also giving your consumers the ability to change their own. One added thing here is we have added the station name right above the pillars. This was kind of requested from our location operators that this would be a nice added touch. So for people that wanted to be added to a multiplayer, they can see exactly which station they're in. And like we've mentioned before in previous huddles, we are also giving you the ability to add announcements or ads, and that is going to be right there on the left and right. We will go into more detail on how many are best practices and everything like that. So you can see Jamie just switched it to the right, and you can see that there's a much bigger ad as well there. So we'll go into more detail on kind of the best practices there. But that is kind of the high level overview around the launcher, except I did miss one thing.
Sure.
I did miss one thing. So one thing that we did add to 3.0 is the ability to be in browse mode, or we call it launch content preview. So what that means is you do not have to have time on this specific station to see the content. And so what we are doing is allowing your customers to come in, they can browse the content, they cannot launch. So we are basically letting them know that they cannot launch the content without specific time, but this would allow you to get people into the headset, browsing the particular content, and then you can actually start their time from there.
That's
so
right.
We kind of call that a demo view or a content preview view.
Yeah. And so the call to action, if they do want to start a piece of content, is to call for help so that you can engage them, add some time, see if they can make a payment and stuff like that. There is one thing I should add here that, well, obviously this looks very different in VR. These are just screenshots. It looks beautiful, and this environment is gorgeous and is really immersive. We actually had one person be quite afraid because they were on top of a building. It's that immersive. But we also have like, this is a sort of a background view of this, so you can see they are in like a big environment. It's quite nice. And then when they can actually select a game, they can see the difficulty there, description, they can start it there. There's a lot more to this launcher. Can't wait till you guys get to try it. There's a lot of really great features here.
Right. And the one other thing that I want to add is we did add more additional branding. So you can see that there's places actually on the building for you guys to add your branding there. There's more than 3 billboards.
Yeah, there's I think 10 or something.
For you to actually add your branding there as well. So we did definitely listen to you guys in regards to you wanted more branding capabilities. And even if they hit the system button when they're not into the game, that overlay actually has your name on those overlays as well. Okay. All right. I think if anyone doesn't have anything else on the launcher, we will move forward into what to expect on Monday, April 30th. Okay. So I do want to give one notice. We've sent this in email, but I'm going to say it again, and you'll probably get another email about this maintenance notice. We are going to have a window around 3 hours. We do think it's only going to take an hour, but we're giving us 3 hours on Monday, April 30th at 1 a.m. Central Time. And I will let a team member of ours actually post various different time zones, what that actually means. But right now, since I'm actually in Oklahoma, I selected the 1 a.m. for you guys to see that. But just make notice that we have tried to select a time period that would potentially not affect anyone. And so here's a few things to note. I know change is hard, but this is exciting. And so one thing to clearly note is that on April 30th, you will need to make a decision. You will need to make a decision if you are going to say, you know what, I'm going to hold off on actually moving over to the new launcher and new hybrid monitor, we are giving you the option to go to old monitor and keep the same launcher. You can make that decision. Now, we are giving you 2 months basically to keep that process, right? If you want to keep that process until you feel more comfortable in making that change, you can. But right now, our date is July 1st that we will no longer support the old monitor and old launcher. So again, we're going to walk you through all of this. But the one thing is we do recommend you switching over to the new launcher, obviously.
A lot more
so
in the new monitor, a lot of new features.
Yes. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly make that notice for everyone. And let's go ahead and do a walkthrough. So what I wanted you to do here, Jamie, is actually show them on the monitor station when they do come on Monday. What does the monitor station actually look like?
Sure. So in this Broadway location, we haven't updated any of the stations. So if you actually go, you'll see here that every single station is blocked out. You'll get the little cross out, and you'll have to update the station. It gives you very clear instructions how to do so. You just click details and you can hit update now. It's very simple. But that is what it will look like. So this means that in the new monitor, you will not be able to make reservations. You won't be able to add a walk-in time. You'll have to use the old monitor. And you'll see here that there is the go to old monitor link if you do not want to use this new monitor yet, or for whatever reason you haven't upgraded. But this is sort of what you'll see when you come into your monitor on the first day of 3.0.
All right. So let's go into our 5-step process. Our 5-step process for the migration. Okay. So again, Monday, when you come to your location, like Jamie mentioned, what you are going to see is you're going to see that you're going to have to take an action. You're going to either have to go to old or you're going to have to go to new. And so we basically boiled this down to 5 steps for you to make this as easy as possible. And so on Monday, if you do choose to migrate, if you do choose to go to the new, you will want to delete any previous Springboard VR launcher on all stations. Usually this is in a folder on your desktop or wherever you've stored that. You're going to want to log into the station monitor. And just, this is a note, if you ever just want to always have station monitor right then and there, you can log in from station monitor at monitor.springboardvr. So make a note of that as well. That's where you're going to see that details. Then you're going to click on the details. One thing to note here, previously our old launcher, you could not put this on the flash drive and transfer it to each computer. You can now, which is very exciting. And number 4, right, you're going to download it, have it complete. You're going to double click the file to complete the install, and then it's going to automatically start up and ask you to log into your account. And then that's when you're going to specify which station. Okay, so you're going to specify which station to make sure that it's matching on the monitor station. All right, and so it is a very, very quick process. We've done this with our early access folks. And the good news about this is there's a lot behind the scenes that we've been working on, or the development team has been working on, to really make sure that our launcher is very, very reliable and much easier for you guys to update. So let me just kind of give you some high points of behind the scenes of what we've done to really make sure that the launcher is really well done. So it really runs behind the scenes all the time, okay? So, and then the nice thing about this is with that, we are able to basically provide very small automatic updates once you have updated to 3.0. What this means, even our early access folks were able to see this, we are able to actually deploy changes to the launcher without you having to take any actions. So you don't have to constantly update your your stations. Now you do have to do this one migration for us to get on 3.0, for us to then be able to push and deploy some small fixes to the launcher. And then, like I said before, more reliable, less reliant on SteamVR and making sure SteamVR is actually running properly. We don't have to have that situation happen any longer with 3.0. So that's very exciting on our end on that part. And that is a lot of the work on the development team, and we are very grateful for that. All right, next, let's go into, again, migration checkpoint. You guys are going to get tired of me hearing talking about experiences, but I want to make sure that this is 100% clear. When you do migrate, we are going to, by default, give you one experience. It's going to be called standard. I think it's going to be called standard 5, probably. We are going to move all of your stations into that one experience. Any previous booking settings are going to be pulled over. All right. Now note that all the hardware, so like we had shown you before, you can select the hardware. All of them are going to be associated to Vive. If you have any Oculus or any other stations, you are going to want to go and adjust that. So just to make sure that that is clear, we have done a migration with 3.0, basically bringing all the content and making sure that it is transferring over appropriately. All right. Next point is going to be talking more around the game launcher or the content launcher. So let's talk about this. We've talked about this previously in a open huddle, so this shouldn't be new. But in old, before 3.0, we had categories. We have now moved that over to difficulty. So if you had categories set as beginner, intermediate, or advanced, we are going to automatically move that over to easy, medium, and hard. Okay. Our top 100 games, based on minutes played, we will automatically have a new default set for that, for the top 100. And then also, if there's no preset, it's going to default to medium, and you guys can make the adjustments from there. The other thing, let's talk about tags. Previously in 3.0, it was called tags. We are moving to genres. Just so you know, we are going to populate based on your current tags. So what I would recommend before Monday is to go and make sure you have tags associated to your content, so it will move over. One thing to note, if there is no tags associated to it, it's going to go under an other genre. So just note that. I would recommend going in and making sure you have tags associated to your content. These genres are ordered by your location operating panel setting, like I mentioned. If you want shooter to actually be at the very top genre, you can make that change yourself. And obviously it's sorted by the most popular titles. The other thing that I had mentioned to you guys, we did pull single player and multiplayer out just for it to be easier for your clients to filter those specific games. We are automatically going to be assigning single and multiplayer on the top 100 games. And then the multiplayer tag will no longer be needed. And the other thing to note, which we're going to go into more detail in a second, is branding. Within the launcher, you did upload a logo today. We are not going to migrate that over. We are going to ask for you to upload new logos because they're in various different places, and we want to make sure the sizes are correct. All right, let's move forward.
Sorry, there you are.
Okay, again, you're hearing me talk about experiences again. Another thing that you should prepare is actually getting those experiences. What do you want to name them? What's a really good description? We do have default images for you to select, but you can actually upload your own. if you want, and then pricing and promotions. So if you want specific discounts or coupons or anything like that. So that's something to think about before Monday. All right, and now ads. Obviously, this is just an image for reference, but like you can see here, we're just kind of giving you some best practices. This is not required. You do not have to have ads or announcements. So the minimum can be 0, the maximum can be 4. You can create this based on experiences, and in our knowledge base, we do provide you very detailed guidelines of ones that we suggest, how to create it, the background colors, the layout, the copy, and font. So our knowledge base is going to be something that you will want to make sure you have access to, and look at those ads. The next thing here is branding, okay? So again, we are going to be providing best practices in our knowledge base, but like we had mentioned and we showed you in the screenshots is where there are various different billboards. There's also areas on the buildings that you can put your logos. So this is where we are going to ask for a horizontal, a square, and vertical. And then you can see kind of the billboard sizes that we are recommending there as well. And we will be providing some best practices in our knowledge base for you guys to reference as well. Okay, we're getting close. We're getting close to the end here. And so the other thing that we're doing, we know change is hard. We are providing educational assets for you to be able to print, review, use in your location. And really, this is for your customers, this is for you, this is for your staff. So Jamie, if you could go to that, I would like to share them a few of our educational assets. Specific to, can you go to the one specific to the ones that they can actually print off?
Okay. Would it be? Is it these? It's in the knowledge base, correct?
Yes.
Like the migration.
Well, we might not have the link ready, but we actually have some really good visuals for things for you to be able to print off and put into your stations. And so we will definitely make sure we have that available for you guys, but it's specific to kind of the top 5, right? Top 5 things for your employees to know about this change. And it is also some really good things that you can print off in your stations for your customers to really understand, you know, when they hit the system button, what does that do? And so when you are taking them to the station, you can actually point and show them some printable assets right on that station. So apologize for not having that for you to showcase right now, but we will show that in our Facebook community. We also spent a lot of time in regards to providing a migration guide. So if you thought I went into detail today, the migration guide goes even into greater detail. And we are going to be providing some videos. So in the next couple of days, you will see the guide being available for you to reference for Monday, and also some videos. The other thing, so if anyone has heartburn right now on any of this 3.0, I suggest you to go ahead and book some time with Michelle or Hunter. Go ahead and reserve that time if you had any heartburn, or you know, maybe this is too much for you right now that you want to actually have some hand holding on Monday. Now, the one thing that I'm going to note, if you do make a reservation with them for tech support to walk you through kind of the 3.0 migration, please be on time and please no show. Okay, let's move on. All right. Now let's talk about the new feature request protocol. We get some great ideas and we do listen to them. We are now in a process that we need a better system to be able to monitor these feature requests. And so what we have come up with is a way for you guys to upvote. And so I'm going to let Jamie go into those links here. This is a great example in regards to a location operator feature request, okay? And so Marie has given us a great example of one. She created this one, add station name to system overlay, right? I think that was one. So this is where you can come in here and you can review all of our location operator feature requests. And then you can simply upvote them, right? You can actually give them some upvotes. This allows us to monitor and really understand which ones are being requested across a lot of locations, right? And so this is where we are going to start to funnel or make sure that you guys use this so we can better monitor feature requests, and it's at a view where you guys can upvote, and then once it hits a particular level, that's when we will bring it into a planning mode, and you will be able to see that from the roadmap view and being able to see, okay, they've taken my feature request, they've asked me any questions that I might have, and now it's in a planning mode, which means that it's kind of going into kind of a design mode. And then that's when you will probably see us talking about that specific feature in an open huddle, okay? So Jamie, if you'll go to the content side as well. So one other thing, we did break out content request. So feature request is going to be based on our platform. You want a specific feature. We have also created a content request. So I know you guys post a lot on our Facebook page in regards to which content you would actually like us to add to our commercial licensing. And this is just going to let us be a little bit more organized, and then you guys can upvote certain content. And so again, there's going to be two basically main things that you guys are going to want to use in this system. You're going to want to use the feature request and then also the content. This means that you can actually copy and paste a particular feature request or content request into our Facebook community to really rally behind getting some upvotes. So just note that we want you guys to still have those conversations on Facebook, but this is just kind of getting us into more of a system, if that makes sense. The next thing, Jamie, if you'll go back to that slide here, oh, sorry, one more thing. So I just want to make sure this is clear. If you have support, if you need something regarding to support, you need someone to get on the phone or a screen share with you or troubleshoot, support@springboardvr.com is the path to that, okay? We are just trying to remove feature requests from that channel so we can actually be able to support people with urgent needs faster, okay? All right, the next slide here. The next open huddle is May 2nd. Yes, that's next week. The reason why we are doing a webcast and then open huddle right back to back is because 3.0 is going out on Monday. So we want to make sure that we are addressing any feedback or anything that you might have on next Wednesday. Okay, and this is where we will be potentially discussing what is coming next. And I will tell you, it is content related, and we are very excited about the plans that we have for content moving forward. So join us for the next open huddle next week on May 2nd. And I think we are finally to a point where we can answer any and all of your questions.
This is my favorite part.
There's
By far my favorite part.
And there's so many of them today. I'll get started. you want me to start, Jamie?
Start at the top, I suppose. All right, with 4 votes, are there plans for a mobile app? Now, I'm glad that you asked me while I'm here. So I'm kind of the main front-end developer. I actually come from an Android development background, so I'm very familiar with mobile applications. However, we have taken the approach of, well, the web is taking over all applications, and so we really want the websites to be top tier, so that they feel native on phones. Now, I won't get into a lot of details, but kind of upcoming features in Safari and Chrome, actually already in Chrome on Android, but definitely coming out on iPhone very soon, is that web applications like Springboard will actually be the same as native applications. And so you'll launch them from your home screen just like any other apps. Like you won't have to go to Safari, then go to Springboard. You'll just click on the Springboard monitor and it'll open it up. Those features are coming. We are ready for those features. So just be aware there'll never be a situation where you'll go to the App Store and download a Springboard VR native application. But very soon, once Apple decides to implement these features, it'll basically feel like a native application. If people are on Android and have visited our websites on Android, on like a newer Android phone or tablet, you'll see a little prompt that says, do you want to add this to your home screen? If you do add that to your home screen, it actually does, it opens up without like the browser, Chrome, like without like the address bar or anything like that. And it feels a lot more like a native application. I should also mention that you can use these applications offline, unlike other web apps. So I just want to make sure that we are committed to delivering a native-like experience, but without actually, hiring iOS developers and Android developers, because we think the experience on web can be just as good, especially for a product like ours. I get really passionate about this, so if you have more questions, you can email me.
Next up, Ernest asks, when multiplayer is selected, are they automatically grouped with other players in the arcade? So currently, no, but we are working on features in that direction, and we will hopefully be announcing stuff about that in the next month or two.
Will we be able to lock down the language so that guests can't change it? So James asked this. Yeah, we actually, I think somebody in early access maybe has put this into the feature request. It may have been you, James. I don't remember. But yeah, we actually we had somebody mention that when a younger kid comes in, they just click whatever button. And if they ended up in a different language, it might be super confusing. Yeah, that's something that we're definitely looking into. I don't know when it will happen. It's pretty simple for us to do. But yes, we're definitely looking into it.
Daniel asks, can you have one station with 2 experiences? Right now, no, but it would be great if you put your use case for that in chat, and we might have a better solution for you than having to do it that way.
Saku asks, scroll down. Can we show the different genres before most popular and recently added categories? Or could we hide those two completely? That's a question for Alexandra or for Matt.
So right now, no, but that's definitely something that we're looking at making you able to do in the future. Right now, it's just you always have most popular and recently added.
Okay, Daniel. Can we customize and force them to pay online? Yes. Yeah, you don't have to enable pay in store. You can have just online payments and they won't have the ability to pay in store. It's totally an option for you. And we're talking, specifically in case people don't know the context of the question, is that when a customer, one of your customers, is making a reservation online, there's the option to say pay in store. You don't have to have that. That's a checkbox that you can uncheck.
Ernest asks, can the background environment in the launcher be changed? So right now we're launching with just that one environment, but we'll be announcing more environments in the future and you'll be able to switch between them.
I just want to do a follow-up. Daniel, who asked about the experiences, says whether or not you can have multiple on a station. He says curated experience versus non-curated experience, say. I pick based on our pre-selected menu. Now, this is actually kind of interesting. And Matt, if I am wrong, you can correct me on this, but you can actually switch the experience kind of on the fly for the station, can you not?
Yeah, you could. I don't see any reason you wouldn't. I think the only reason you might not want to is to do with the booking system. It might be confusing.
Yeah, that
But
would
I'm just
be.
trying. That's definitely an interesting use case where you're kind of like swapping out the content that's available. We'll definitely take
Yeah.
that and think about it some more on our end.
And you'd need to make sure, because when you swap the experiences, the games on the station don't change. Because games that are on a station are per station, but experience is obviously separate from that. So if you swap the experience on the station, the games won't change because that is on a per station basis. So just be aware of that.
Okay, Joseph asks, if we switch to the new launcher, but then I think the old launcher was better, can we revert back until July 1st? We have not tested that. It should work. I don't see why it wouldn't. We definitely don't recommend it, but it should be possible.
Brendan asks, what if I don't have a set location? What if my company will be traveling to the customer? The location has an address just because we needed some way to contact, but the location isn't necessarily geographically tied to any place. Like it doesn't need to be in that IP address or anything like that. So you can just call the location like VR food truck. I'm not sure exactly what your traveling setup is like, but the location isn't strictly tied to a geographic location.
Kenneth asks, can we offer just the tutorial without using minutes? So what you could do is you could just pause the booking and then resume it when they're done. We don't have an automated way to make the tutorial not part of it yet.
But I will mention that this gets talked about a lot on how we should be handling things like tutorial minutes, whether or not they should be billed, and it is pretty close to split right down the middle right now. So we have the way to offer both, whether or not you want to charge for the tutorial time or not charge for the tutorial time. So I don't imagine we'll be putting any really any changes on that because I think we serve the most use cases right now. All right, let's move on. James asks, any possibility of getting support for BTC, so Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin? So I don't, Matt, what do you think for taking payments? Yeah, I mean, there's nothing stopping us from doing it, really. It's not very difficult to implement, is it?
Well, at least adding it so you can accept it separately. But yeah, definitely add that to our new feature request thing and get some upvotes on there. We can definitely consider it.
Yeah, that's something that I never really considered because, yeah, it's fine. Ed, will the simple monitor station tab without using the booking module also be showing the current age limit?
No, it will not be. The old version of the monitor is staying exactly as it was for the last 9 months, and it's not getting any new features. It's being deprecated on July 1st.
Yeah, we have halted any development unless a critical bug comes along. We are not adding any new features to that. Joseph, is it possible to add a way to start a station timer without it being reflected in the online booking? I'm not sure if I totally understand. Is there a way to start a station without it being reflected in the online booking?
Joseph, maybe give us your use case in chat because that's we're not really sure what that would be for.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that, Matt, and you can continue on.
Sounds good. Kevin asks, are the filters in the game launcher customizable or hard-coded? So on the sidebar, single player and multiplayer are hard-coded. The difficulties are hard-coded, and then the genres are customizable by you. In the future, we're going to make it more customizable than it is now, where you can have more control over the different sections that are available for filtering in that left sidebar.
Okay. How do we force launch games for the customer outside of VR? So in the monitor, I showed very briefly that you can, I'll show it again, that you can actually remote launch games. So in here, if I go to free roam, remote launch games, maybe I want to do Arizona Sunshine again. Why not? I just click that, hit remote launch, and then that will launch the game on that station. That is how you can force them into a game without them having to do anything.
Rebecca asks, what if you're only selling time and they can play as many games as they like until their time is up versus one game experience booked? So the experiences aren't actually booking for a single game that they're playing. They're really just a name for encompassing all of a single type of hardware or configuration. experience isn't the best word. We honestly talked for, I don't even want to know how many hours about what we were going to call this feature. We're still on experience because it makes the most sense to the end user, even if it doesn't make the most sense to you as someone who's operating. Jamie, do you have anything else to add to that?
No. Yeah, I mean, I think the hours that we have spent about words like station and words like experience, it's been pretty, not hotly debated, but we've talked about it a lot because, for example, a word like station has a few cons. It doesn't translate very well into different languages. Like, for example, in Mandarin, the word for station is often associated with train station. And so you need something like hub or like pod. So yeah, we have talked a lot about that. And also it's kind of a confusing thing to explain to customers. So that is one of the reasons why it is called experience, because it encompasses, as Matt said, what you can expect. So if I go between two different Vive headsets and they're in the same experience, I can expect the same experience in that it'll be the same pricing, it will be the same length of time, it will be the same games. That is the same experience. And then for stations, for 99% of our users, that just refers to a headset connected to a computer in a space. But some of our users want to use the booking system for things like, we mentioned escape rooms, we've mentioned other things like bowling alleys and things like that. So people who don't offer just VR can also use this system. And so we settled on the word station. But yeah, we have talked about this a lot, about what words like experience and station mean. And I think it's just kind of, we hope that in their knowledge base, we kind of do the education correctly. But yeah, these are sort of generic terms that just refer to the types of services you can offer with Springboard VR.
Next up is Ronnie. He asks, in the normal business hours, we have 3 categories. And then category D would be for educational apps. We want to make it so that you can easily hide the 3 normal categories and then only show D during specific times. So right now, we don't have a good way to do this. This is kind of similar to the question earlier about swapping out the games that are available. This is definitely something we're going to start looking at doing now that we have this experience section in place, because this is kind of an extension on top of that, where you can kind of have, I'd say we'd call them something like content loadouts or something like that, where you have a predefined set of content that is available that you switch between. So right now, not possible other than using age ratings, but definitely something that we're going to be looking at adding in the future.
Yeah, and I just want to expand on what Matt said a little bit. So I mentioned a little bit earlier that games are tied to stations. There is a technical reason for that, because ideally we would like games to be tied to experiences. So you could just swap experiences, all the games would change. So in your situation, if an education thing comes in, you just swap the experience to be educational, and they'll never see any of the games that aren't educational games. Now, the reason that doesn't work is because it assumes that every single game is installed on every single computer. And we don't have a way to do that unless you physically go to the computer and install every single game on Steam. And so there are technical reasons why games are still tied to station and not to experience. That may be changing once we move over to the new content distribution system, which we sort of hinted at, that we'll be talking about next week in more detail. But that might be a possibility where now games are tied to experiences. So station is basically just like a dumb container for the experience. But yeah, that we'll talk about that maybe a bit more next week.
Okay, now, Joseph, I'm going to enable your mic so you can talk about your question earlier. It should be enabled now. You might have to click at the very top where it says off. I'll give you another second to figure this out. Otherwise, we'll come back to you in a minute.
Can you guys hear me?
Okay. Oh,
can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So the sample or the example I was talking about with running the timer without showing it on the online scheduler. During our downtime, say it's a few minutes before the hour, we like to allow our employees to play some of the new games so that they can gain some experience. But we do have a lot of people that book 5 or 10 minutes in advance. So say it's 11:45 and we want to allow our employee to play for, a while. In that case, we would set the timer for just an hour because it's the easiest. And then we wouldn't want to lose the possibility for someone booking at that noon session.
Are these people booking online or in person?
Online.
Okay. So I guess I was gonna say you can go into maintenance, but maintenance also blocks bookings.
Yeah, I was gonna say maintenance mode. Okay. So there's a few things I can half answer this question. Here I am in the monitor. That technically our monitor in our location opens up at 9 on this day. What is it? Wednesday. So you actually can schedule in time and do everything you need to within the full 24 hours. Every single admin will always be able to add in full 24 hours of bookings for any day. So if you can schedule time outside of the opening hours. And so if you do that, then that won't conflict with anybody on the online scheduler. Now,
Okay.
to say, like, let's say you do an hour here, like maybe they come in at 8:30, you'll do an hour here. That means that the hour will have the half hour at 9 o'clock. And that would, in our current iteration, would block out that one slot in the 9 o'clock time for the customers, because we look to say, oh, there's already something here. We can't schedule that. So that is how it works right now. That being said, we have talked a little bit about certain stations with privileges that can open up games without time. That doesn't exist right now, but it's definitely something that we've talked about. So yeah, I don't have any specifics exactly, other than you can book time completely independent of how your store hours actually operate.
Okay. I think that answers my question. Thanks, guys.
No worries.
Okay, next up is Jeremiah. He asks if there's still a weekly view on the calendar. Currently, there is not, but I believe there's an upvote available for that one. So you can
There it is. Already
one.
has 2 upvotes. There's a few reasons why it's gone, but I won't get into it because it's a little bit weird and technical. So yeah, let's move on.
Sigmar asks, will commercial licensing stop counting if you pause the game in the monitor view? No. So that pause in the monitor view just pauses the countdown. It doesn't actually pause the game. So that would continue the commercial licensing from going.
That's right. Because they are still technically playing the game. But yeah, so that's how that works. There is one thing to notice. If the game crashes, that session will end and you can pause the timer. Like if the game is not running, it won't count the time. So if power shuts down, it's not like the commercial licensing is going to keep going. It's if you pause and there's still a game running and they're still like actually playing the game, that's when it's actually counting time. How many genres will be displayed above the fold? It's a very good question. Let's see. I think it's 4.
4 or 6. We've been tweaking it a few times. It's 4.
Okay, well, there you go. Chris Adams asks, can we prepare our stores with a late Sunday release? I'd love to be able to hit the ground running without much delay come Monday morning. So yeah, we actually talked about this maintenance window for a long time. We looked at our statistics, and this is because we're more or less an international company now. This is the lowest time for all of our arcades. So unfortunately, I know that in North America, it's going to line up to be like Monday morning is the release. But we wanted to make sure we disrupted as few people as possible. So unfortunately, no, maybe, I don't know, Matt, I don't know if there's like a possibility to sort of like, no, because we're going to play the whole, yeah, I'm sorry, Chris, there's no way that we can do that.
Thankfully, you can keep operating with the old monitor for the day if you need to. And it depends really what time zone you're in, because if you're in Europe, it's the morning. If you're in North America, it's the night before. So it just kind of depends where you are.
That's right.
We just had to find something that works the best for everyone. And then the only people this is the middle of the day for is Asia. So someone had to lose, sadly.
Yeah. Wesley, are there different pricing abilities for select days, such as for off-peak days such as earlier in the week versus a different price for peak days like weekends? Currently, right now, there are just prices that exist for like the whole life of the experience. That being said, there are discounts and coupons which apply to a certain date range. Now, I shouldn't say it's not a weekly range, so you can't have it like repeat this coupon every single Monday. However, we've definitely talked about that to make coupons and discounts more flexible. And so, for example, like Monday and Tuesday, 20% off for the rest of time. You can definitely do something like that. Currently, in the future, you'll be able to do something like that. Currently, right now, you can make a coupon, a discount that starts at a particular date and ends at a particular date. So you can have a little bit of flexibility there.
Okay, next up is Kenneth. Can you lock someone into one game for the whole session? Right now, we don't have that functionality, but it's definitely coming in the very near future.
Ernest says, can the demo be linked to my site? Would like for the customers to have access to the tutorial online as well. The tutorial is actually in VR, so I don't know how we would make it run in the browser. Like, it's actually inside of the headset. So I guess I don't know if I'm misunderstanding that, but I think for what I understand, no is the answer to that question.
Yeah, if that's something you need, we'd suggest you put together your own video tutorial, like yourself with your staff, and then use that online.
Shout out to Arctic Sun. They have a great little video that they posted on our Facebook group, if I recall. And yeah, that's a great little video. It talks about just the rules of the arcade. It's a little funny. It's really great. So if you guys want to see an example of that, shout out.
Okay, next up is Christopher. He asks basically about our Oculus compatibility. So right now with our Oculus compatibility, we only support Oculus titles that have the Steam VR SDK in them, which means you can get them through Steam. We don't support any Oculus home titles or any direct to Oculus titles. We only support stuff that's available through Steam for the Oculus.
Liam asks, do we get any R&D minutes, research and development minutes? I
can
guess
answer that one.
Sure.
So right now, no, but we are changing that with an update to our commercial licensing in the next month or two. So we'll have some news on that in the near future.
Okay, moving on. Ed, will a content distribution system automatically install, copy all the... Okay, before I get into this, we're going to answer specifically things about 3.0. I promise you this will get answered in the next huddle, but we have to move on with 3.0 ones. But Ed, good question, and come to the next week's huddle. Robert asks, can we add a category of time or booking for employee that shows still is available for online book? So this is very similar to the question we answered previously. Kind of, you can book them outside of hourly time, but currently if there is a block of time in the booking, there's no way to sort of like deprioritize that booking so that customers can get in. It's definitely something that I have heard for the first time today, and I would love for you to go to our Canny board, make that request, and we'll definitely consider that.
Liam asks about basically if you can, what's available in the booking system, if you can remove the ability to pay in store. Yes, that's customizable, just an option. We just had it on for our demo because it's easier for demos.
Yeah, I mean, I can...
It's okay, Jamie.
Okay. Moving on. Eric Madsen asks, is it possible to have set or preferred times for the booking? Example, only allowing bookings at 10 to 11:15, 12:30 for the weekends. We switched this model. Yes. Okay. Before I jump into that, our new hours is really flexible. So basically, you can have any amount of hours. You just hit an hour, and then you can select what days that applies for, opening and closing. If there are two times that overlap, it's considered open. But what you can do is, let's say, just like delete this. Maybe on Saturday, I'm open from, I don't know, like 1 p.m. to like 3, and then we close down. And then on also Saturday, I am open from 5 to whatever, right? So you can come in here and change all of that stuff. So there you go. On Saturday, I'm open from 1 to 3, and then I'm open from 5 to 10. That is 100% possible.
Brandon asks about our booking system. I think he entered this at the very start. I believe we've covered it pretty thoroughly now. If you have any more questions about the booking system, feel free to ask again.
For taxes, can you add multiple compounded taxes? For example, no. So I'm glad I'm on this page. This is what it looks like. You can choose exclusive or inclusive, and then the amount in percentage. That is it. So if you do need to do a compound, it'll just show tax as a single line item. It won't do like VAT and then PST and then GST. Like that is not how it works. It's just all lumped in together.
We're definitely going to be expanding it at some point in the future as we add more and more payment stuff to the platform. But for now, we just had to keep it really simple so we could have something for you.
James Pollock asks, what are the green, red, blue color tabs at the top left of the reservation? So as you use the monitor, you'll know exactly what these mean. Green means playing, red means conflict, blue means newly added. So if I hit blue, it'll get a little blue tab and it says new, and they're actually color coded exactly what they mean. So conflict being red, playing being green, and then new being blue. There you go.
Craig asks, station settings language. There is one language option to enter after selection. How does this work for buy multilingual environments, or is the language selection purely for admin use, not guest? So the language setting that is showing up in both the monitor and in the headset is for what you see as an end user. You can set something different for what you use as staff members. I believe that answers that question.
Cool. Is it difficult for us who do not speak English to follow? Oh, it is difficult for us who do not speak English to follow you in our webinar. And do you plan to post a notice in different languages? Well, sort of funny. We have a lot of different team members who speak a variety of different languages. However, for now, we are an English-based company, and I don't see any time in the future having different languages, and I'm very sorry about that.
So I will comment. So I'll comment real quickly. Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. We are going to be working on providing, more global support. But please send us an email with specific questions, and then we can go from there. But yes, we are working on more of a global support strategy. So yeah, we will be addressing that.
Wesley asks, are there different pricing abilities for select days, such as for off-peak versus weekend price, etc.? Right now, no. That's definitely something that we're looking at adding in the future. So feel free to add it to our features request board and get it upvoted. And we'll definitely look at adding it later.
David asks, in the booking engine, how many experiences will potential guests be presented with? As many as you have. We've tested the design up to, I think, 12. And while it's big, it's just we don't want to hide away any experiences from users. So it's as many as you have. What's the difference between tethered and free roam? Oh, this is just element. This is just a what's the word I'm looking for? Placeholder.
Placeholder.
Exactly. If it does mean anything, the Vive is coming up with a wireless adapter. I don't know when it will be out, but that's kind of what we were alluding to, is that eventually there will be headsets that are wireless and there are some headsets that are tethered. But between us, I have heard that the wireless is not very good. But anyway, moving on.
Jesse asks, if you're on a 30-day trial, will you be able to upgrade to 3.0? Yes, definitely. Everyone, no matter what your status, paying, trial, brand new, old, you'll all get 3.0 at the same time.
Dennis also asks, is there a session-based payment model? Are there different testing environments like production, alpha, and beta, so developers can test their future experiences in specific VR centers? Okay, there's a lot of questions here. Is there a session-based payment model? No.
I think you mean I guess it depends if you need from either a consumer or from a game developer licensing, but both of them are currently no, but both of them we are hoping to change in the future.
Are there different in testing environments like production, alpha, and beta? Well, internally there are, but
he's referring to game developers, I believe, here. He's talking about testing it in their future experiences in specific VR centers. And so right now, again, no. Again, something that we'd love to add in the future.
Okay. Is there any analytics SDK that developers can use? Currently, no, but we're looking at it.
Yeah, so we suggest game developers implement their own SDK with there's like 1,000 different companies that focus on analytics for VR, and we highly suggest they use one of those if they want them.
There was one more on that. Can a developer see which VR center uses an experience?
Yes, they get an email every week with their active licenses and an overview on how their games are performing.
Craig is following up on the different hours for different times or for different days of the week. He says, awesome, but how do I set different opening hours based on date? For example, seasonally. Yeah, you're just gonna have to do that. Like when fall rolls around, you're gonna have to go into your experience and just change it. It's pretty easy. You just come into here, hit pricing in hours, and do the thing.
Yeah. And doing that, adding that ability and the ability to do specific days is something else we want to do in the future. So, I'm closed on a holiday, which I believe actually is our next question. Yes, it is. So that also isn't available right now, but being able to set this day we're closed, this day we have special hours, etc., is going to be coming in a future update. We just needed to do a first overhaul to get away from our old system of doing hours, which wasn't very flexible at all.
That's right. We have a massive laundry list of features that we want to add, especially when it comes to hours and pricing and stuff. So we want to make sure that you guys have a lot of that flexibility.
Yep. And I would say that that's another thing to add to the feature request. Even if we say something is coming, go ahead and still add things to the feature request so we can get people to upvote, so we can prioritize what things need to get out sooner than later.
Darren asks, does this version of the booking system integrate with Square? Yes, it does. Here it is. Square. You can connect it. It's pretty simple.
Last question.
On. The last question. Robert Spellman asks, will 3.0 let us link LEDs, bells, sirens, air horns, gongs to get our attention when a customer hits the help button? No, but it's something that is pretty not high up on our priority list. We're going to have specifics on this. No, we're not going to have specifics, but we're going to have more information on this soonish. The long and story short is that we kind of have to do an API integration. So any of these features that we said, hey, it might come soonish, go to that feature board, request it, upvote it, get your friends to upvote it, and it'll get our attention.
And this Jamie has lots of smart lights in his apartment, so this is very close to his heart.
Very close. I have a whole smart home. I want it to be when someone calls for help, it locks all the doors in my house.
Oh, more questions are coming in.
Okay.
Gene asks, will there be support for waivers? Right now, no, but again, that's a feature we are in the planning stages for and do some voting on our feature platform for.
Yeah, I have. It's gonna happen. I promise. It's gonna be happening. Joseph asks, will the booking be embeddable? Yeah, so it's going to work slightly different than it did before. You're still going to have the button. It's still going to look the same. It's still being branded with the colors, exactly how it was before. So you guys will get that little embed code. You can pop it onto your website. So if I hit share here, you can see I get the embed code. But it's actually going to pull you off to a different screen. It's going to launch it in a new tab. The reason why is because iframes are terrible. And if you don't know what an iframe is, it's some sort of development thing that puts a website inside of a website. It was awful, and we had a lot of problems with it. So it's going to a new page. So, but yes, to answer that question, it is still embeddable.
But I will note, since Jamie went into detail about that, I will note when they are done with that reservation, we are taking them back to your site. I want to make sure that's 100% clear.
Ronnie asks, will PayPal be available as a payment option? We don't have an ETA. I think this was asked earlier. Just upvote it on the feature request page, and that will make it happen faster.
Darren asks about QuickBooks as well.
So both Stripe and Square integrate with QuickBooks. So if you're using them as your POS, that's how you can get QuickBooks integration. But we don't offer any QuickBooks integration.
Can you add multiple Square accounts per location? No, but you can have different Square accounts per location. But you cannot have multiple Square accounts per location because I don't know how that would work. But you can have, if you have two different locations, you can have two different Square accounts for those two locations. Saku, I'm sorry. He asks, just to be clear, everything will be ready after the maintenance time ends so we can transition to 3.0. Everything, will be ready. It will absolutely be ready.
Yeah, the whole point of that maintenance period is just we have to do a lot of stuff on our server infrastructure and with our database, and we just have to do all of that while the servers are offline, and then we'll bring it back online, and we'll be fully launched for 3.0.
Yeah. Will there be any type of appointment reminder notification, like sending an SMS message or email to the customer? No, not this release, but it's in the pipeline. Again, put it into the feature request. We can upvote it. That's how you guys can sort of sort priorities, and that tells us what you guys want most without having to gauge based on these open huddles. But we know that's pretty important. Things like SMS and emailing customers and stuff like that. We want to make sure it's customizable. So some arcades have the option and other arcades don't. But yeah, it's definitely something that's in our pipeline. Oh, Craig is asking, features.springboardvr.com. There you go. At features.springboardvr.com, the best website that has ever been launched in the history of time.
Okay, so I know we talked about a lot of things today. And so one thing as a recap is, I know we talked about various different links. I know we talked about knowledge base. I know we talked about educational assets. All of that is going to be posted on our Facebook community, but it is also going to be emailed. And so I know that we referenced a lot of links and everything like that. So just note, following this, we did hit record, I believe. I hope we hit record.
Yes, we hit record.
And also, we are going to be giving you guys kind of a resource of all the links that we discussed, so you guys can start to look at our best practices and also start entering your feature request and also your content request. We'll take about probably 1 or 2 more minutes. If there's any other questions or anything, we will address. But if not, then we will end this webcast. And again, just a reminder, our next open huddle is in just a week, just to make sure everyone is all good with 3.0. And so we will see everyone May 2nd at noon Central. And I don't think we have anything else. Thanks, everyone. Enjoyed it.
Thanks for all your great questions.
Yeah, thank you. It's always great to be able to speak to you guys, and we love doing these. So, oh my God, and I'm so excited to give you guys 3.0. We've been working on it for so long.